One of them kept an HIV diagnosis secret for 12 years, then revealed it live on television to Oprah. Another sent a single tweet at 10 at night, went to sleep, and woke up to find it had reached 85 countries and sparked one of the biggest social movements of the decade. But you know what's even crazier? Who's the Boss? Launched the same night as The Cosby Show, and everyone expected it to be crushed. Instead, it ran 8 years and turned a primary school kid into one of the most famous faces on the planet. But with that fame came secrets and battles, some of them fought for decades. Here's what really happened to the people who made it.
Wait a minute. I gave you a whole bunch of potato salad this morning.
Oh, yeah.
In 1984, Tony Danza was 33 years old and already one of the most recognizable faces on American television. He had come from Taxi 5 seasons as Tony Banta, a boxer turned cab driver who never quite had his life together. And then came Tony Maselli, a baseball player turned housekeeper who also never quite had his life together. Both characters were named Tony. Both were played by Tony Danza. This was not a coincidence. Danza has said himself that producers simply wrote around him that the character was always going to be whoever Tony Danza was. But here's what's even crazier. Who's the Boss? Launched on the same night as The Cosby Show in September 1984. The Cosby Show was the most anticipated premiere of the season. Critics were watching it. Networks were watching it. Everyone assumed it would dominate. Who's the Boss? Wasn't supposed to survive the comparison. It ranked in the top 20 for 8 straight years. Danza received 3 Golden Globe nominations. After the show, Danza kept moving. Broadway, a talk show, a reality series in which he actually taught 10th grade English in a Philadelphia high school for a year. He appeared in Crash, in Don John, in And Just Like That in 2023. In 2026, Tony Danza is 74 years old. He still works. He still shows up. He is still, by any reasonable measure, exactly the man his characters always were. Warm, a little chaotic, impossible not to like. But while Danza's story is one of cheerful persistence, Judith Light built something in the years after Who's the Boss that had almost nothing to do with the show and turned herself into one of the most respected performers of her generation.
Is that an A I see on that test paper?
Yeah. Do we have any more potato salad?
In 1984, Judith Light was 35 years old and had already won 2 Daytime Emmy Awards for One Life to Live. She came to Who's the Boss, not as an unknown, but as someone who had already proved what she could do. Angela Bauer was the show's structural spine, the straight line around which everything else bent. But here's what's even crazier. While she was playing Angela, Light was already doing something almost nobody in her industry was doing. This was the early 1980s, the height of the AIDS crisis, at a moment when fear and stigma were overwhelming any serious public conversation. Judith Light began advocating publicly for people with HIV/AIDS almost from the beginning of the epidemic. She eventually played Jeannie White, the mother of Ryan White, the teenager who contracted HIV through a blood transfusion and became one of the defining faces of the epidemic in a TV film. She was one of the first celebrities to try to break the stigma years before it was safe to do so. After Who's the Boss, Ande, Light rebuilt herself entirely on stage. She won the Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Play in 2012 for Other Desert Cities. She won it again in 2013 for the Assembled Party's back-to-back years, back-to-back Tonys for 2 completely different roles. She appeared in Transparent from 2014 to 2019. In 2026, Judith Light is 76 years old. Angela Bauer was a woman who refused to be underestimated. Judith Light turned out to be exactly that person, and then some. But while Light was quietly becoming a theater legend, the boy who played Jonathan was living through something the cameras never saw until the night he sat down with Oprah and said it out loud.
No, I didn't know until now. Oh, it's them!
In 1984, Danny Pintauro was 6 years old when he joined the cast of Who's the Boss? He had already played Tad Trenton in Cujo, a Stephen King horror film, which, for a 5-year-old, is a sentence that requires a moment to absorb. As Jonathan Bauer, he grew up entirely on screen, in front of an audience of millions, across 8 years and 196 episodes. But here's what's even crazier. In 1997, while he was still an undergraduate at Stanford, the National Enquirer told him they were running a story outing him as gay with or without his participation. He came out. He had no control over when, and only some control over how. I missed the opportunity to be a beacon of light for gay kids who were going through what I was going through, he told Oprah years later, because I was outed. It wasn't by choice. And then, in 2003, Pintauro tested positive for HIV. He kept it entirely private for 12 years, living with it, managing it, building a life around it without ever saying it out loud in public. He married his husband, Will Taberz, in 2014. And on the 27th of September 2015, he sat down on Oprah, Where Are They Now?, and said, "I'm HIV positive, and I have been for 12 years. Within hours, he was trending worldwide. The conversation about HIV/AIDS, absent from mainstream media for nearly 2 decades, came roaring back. In 2026, Danny Pintauro is 49 years old. He has lived with HIV for over 20 years and speaks openly about it. Jonathan Bauer grew up quietly on screen. Danny Pintauro grew up loudly, painfully, and publicly in the years after it ended. But while Pintauro's story is about what it cost to finally speak, Alyssa Milano's is about what happened when she did, because one tweet, sent without expectation at 10 o'clock at night, became something that changed the world.
I think I'll save my coffee for later.
Oh, awesome. You're allowed to drink coffee?
In 1984, Alyssa Milano was 11 years old and had just landed one of the most prominent child roles on American television. Samantha Maselli grew up across 8 seasons, from a tomboyish Brooklyn kid into a young woman going to college. Milano lived every year of that on screen, in public, watched by tens of millions of people who felt like they knew her. She became a teen idol. She released pop albums in Japan. But here's what's even crazier. On the 15th of October 2017, at 10 o'clock at night, Alyssa Milano sent a tweet. She had been reading about the Harvey Weinstein allegations, and a friend had suggested an idea. She wrote, "If you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, write me too," as a reply to this tweet. She thought it might get some traction. She went to bed. She woke up to 53,000 replies. Within 24 hours, the phrase had appeared 12 million times across Twitter and Facebook. Within 2 days, it was trending in 85 countries. She has been clear that the movement was founded by Tarana Burke in 2006, and that her tweet amplified something that already existed, but the amplification was seismic. She has also been open about her own experience. The assault, she says, happened on a film set in her mid-20s, a man 17 years older than her. She hasn't named him publicly. She says she isn't ready. In 2026, Alyssa Milano is 53 years old. She still acts, still speaks, still shows up. Sam Michelli was the kid who always had something to say. Alyssa Milano turned out to be exactly that person at a volume nobody predicted. But while Milano's voice grew louder, Katherine Helmond's story is the one that closes the circle, because the woman who played everyone's favorite grandmother left the world quietly after a long battle with something that took her slowly and completely.
Any good mother would jump at the chance to give her child a leg up on life.
Oh, no, we're not gonna hear that old dirge again, are we?
In 1984, Katherine Helmond was 54 years old and already a television legend. She had spent the late 1970s on Soap, one of the most satirically ambitious sitcoms in American television history, playing Jessica Tate with such comic brilliance that she earned a Golden Globe. And then came Mona Robinson, the uninhibited free spirit who wandered through the Bauer household like a force of nature in a sequin dress, saying everything everyone else was thinking and several things nobody was thinking at all. But here's what's even crazier. Helmond never really stopped. After Who's the Boss ended in 1992, she kept working. Everybody Loves Raymond, True Blood, Coach. And then she voiced Lizzie in the Cars trilogy, which means that Mona Robinson, the woman who made a generation laugh, is also the voice of a vintage car in a franchise that an entirely different generation of children loves, and most of them have no idea. She worked until 2018. Her final screen credit was at 88 years old. Katherine Helmond died on the 23rd of February 2019 at her home in Los Angeles from complications of Alzheimer's disease. She was 89. She had been with her husband, David Christian, for 57 years. Alyssa Milano wrote, "My beautiful, kind, funny, gracious, compassionate rock." Mona Robinson was the woman who always found the joke, always found the warmth, always made it worth staying in the room for one more moment. Katherine Helmond was exactly that for 89 years, to everyone she ever worked with. Who's the Boss ran from 1984 to 1992, 8 seasons, 196 episodes, one of the warmest ensembles in the history of American television. 5 people who became, for a lot of families, a version of a family they didn't have. Tony Danza kept being Tony Danza, which it turned out was exactly enough. Judith Light became a theater legend and an advocate for people the industry preferred to ignore. Danny Pintauro kept a secret for 12 years and then gave it away to the world because he believed someone had to. Alyssa Milano sent a tweet at 10 o'clock at night and woke up to a movement. And Katherine Helmond worked until she couldn't, loved the people around her until the end, and left the world on her own terms. Nobody ever really answered the question in the title. But watching what happened to the people who asked it, that turns out to be the whole story.